Welcome to the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Masonry while drinking an old fashioned. I'm Brian.
And I'm Russ.
Russ, I don't have my sheet here today to throw you off guard.
This is making me nervous.
Yeah, so we had a Grand Lodge session. And, as typical, we have bylaws that pass, bylaws that didn't pass, and sometimes common sense prevailed and sometimes common sense doesn't prevail.
Okay.
Right? So, Grand Lodge, what's your favorite thing when you go to a Grand Lodge session?
I think my favorite part of Grand Lodge is seeing some brothers throughout Kansas that I don't always get to see.
I agree.
And spending some time and visiting and just sharing a time in brotherhood and fellowship. And I like it.
Some of our successes and failures and well, and a lot, if you've been a Mason a long time, you've traveled to a ton of lodges and you do get that camaraderie, which I think is the real secret of Masonry.
Yes, very much so.
Right. So let me ask you this. So you've held a lot of positions in lodge, as have I, but neither one of us has been the secretary of the lodge.
Correct.
Would you ever be the secretary of a lodge?
There would have to almost be no one else possible to take that position.
So it's an absolute last resort.
As a last resort.
And why?
Probably I feel my weaknesses are spelling, and I spell like a third grader. And
do you really?
I really do. And I'm not very organized, and I feel as though those are two critical points of a secretary of any lodge, that they actually can do that. Now, could I? Yes. Have I? Yeah. Over.
Yeah, we've been lucky. Who was your secretary when you were a master?
Scott Kaler.
Scott Kaler. He was secretary. And I was fortunate enough to have Jimmy Craig, who was great as well. Yeah. So, all right. I would also not be secretary. I can spell. I am organized, but I have zero patience. And I think it also takes a lot of patience in the secretary, especially when you have new masters, which we were, and we get off track and we think we know more than we do, and you have to... So, that said, we have a great guest on today.
Yes.
Tell us who we have.
We have, from Albert Pike Lodge, John Gracy.
All right, so we're going to go grab John, grab a cocktail, come back, and sit down and talk all things John Gracy. Not Gacy. All right, we're back with Brother John Gracy. How in the world are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, John's having his first old fashioned. It's a hybrid, so pay attention to his face. How was that?
It's good.
Not bad. Not bad. Right. So a little bit of a pre-mix. So, John, have you ever seen the podcast?
I've seen it, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask what you think of it because that answer told me a lot. So I'm going to stay moving forward. So, John, on the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, we like to know as much about the man as we do the Mason. So with that said, who is John Gracy the man?
I'm married. I've got 3 kids, all adopted. Been working in aircraft for 23 years now. Between Cessna and Spirit, done everything from building wings, fuselages, fuel tanks, whatever. Everything major assembly. And now I plan. Now I tell inspectors how I would like their new parts to be inspected, so that we make sure that we meet all the requirements of the FAA and our customer.
And what do you do in your spare time?
I'm a dad.
I mean, we know. We're just trying to get him to tell you. Yes. We know what you do.
I'm a dad. That's about all I have time for. But
and you've got a couple of teenagers in the mix.
I got 3 teenagers.
All teenagers. Ooh. Parents out there, all teenagers in the group. That could be challenging. And 2 girls and a boy.
2 girls and a boy. So I got a 16-year-old girl, a 14-year-old girl, and a 13-year-old boy. All keeping me busy.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Crazy. Well, okay. You've told us a little bit about yourself. Now, walk us through your Masonic journey. Where'd it start?
Well, I didn't know anything about the Masons at all. And I think I met my wife in 2006. 2005, we got married in 2006, and we were back in her hometown, and her grandfather was a Mason. And we were sitting around.
Hometown of?
St. Clair, Missouri.
Okay.
Maybe 3,000-4,000 people. And we're sitting there, and he's got his Masonic stuff on the wall. He had been a past master of his lodge, and I was just asking him about it. And he's like, "Oh, it's a fraternity. We get together." He wouldn't tell me a whole lot about it because he's kind of the old guard. Mm-hmm. And but I had some questions, and he's like, "Well, I got this little book here that has all the secrets of Masons that you've ever wanted to know right here in this book." And I was like, "Oh man, what's that? I shouldn't know this stuff." And he's like,
he's just
take a look.
Looky here. Yeah. You've almost got it.
Right. It was the old man in that commercial.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And so I look at the book, and you can't read anything in it at all. I mean, it was ciphered. Was it the cipher, or was it a monitor? What was it? It was an older cipher. Right. Missouri had a cipher where they...
One letter, probably.
It was astrological symbols.
Wow.
I don't even know how he knew it, but he said he knew what every one of those symbols was supposed to represent for that work.
Wow.
And I'd heard him do the work. I sat there for a third degree performed by the Grand Lodge of Missouri.
After
the fact.
Yes.
After the fact.
Even if not, after the fact.
In that lodge. And I couldn't follow along with the words. It was so much different. But
oh, wow.
So he showed me this cipher, and I'm not supposed to know what's in this. So I look at it, and it doesn't make any sense. And so that's kind of how the conversation started. And after a couple of years, I got tired of dragging my feet and just Googled Masonry in Wichita, and here's Albert Pike Lodge, and I picked up the phone and called, and Scott Kaler answered the phone, and
awesome.
Talked to him for a while. Next thing I know, Roger Snellon's coming out to my house with just to answer some questions, get to know the wife and get to know the kids, and bring me a petition, and that's how it all started. And next thing I know, somebody's asking me, "Hey, we got this empty chair over here, and we need somebody to just answer the door every once in a while. Could you sit over there and answer the door?" So I did. And then here we are.
Here we are. So we know why you sought out the fraternity, and you talked about your wife's grandfather,
right?
Being the old guard. Do you think that philosophy of old guard, the old school that we've always heard, you have to ask 3 times before, do you think that caused us to miss some people in Masonry?
Maybe. But, see, there needs to be some mystery. If we're not presenting some sort of mystery, if we're just a complete open book, then where's the appeal?
But it also seems like you had something internal that kept driving you towards that. Is that fair?
Right.
Yeah. Well, and knowing you're all how that story kind of unfolded, that makes sense with you. You're an inquisitive dude.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. There's a difference.
I'm a curious person.
Yeah.
So just before this, you made mention that they asked you to sit in a chair. So when were you first appointed to the line at Pike, and where were you appointed?
See, I believe it was 2013, maybe. Paul Diddy.
14.
Was it 14? Mm-hmm. 2014, and Paul Diddy. I had already been sitting in junior steward, senior steward, junior deacon, whoever couldn't make it the night I was there. And I can be a warm body and sit in a chair and not say anything and do great. So yeah, it was 2014, and Alex Roselle had taken a brand new job and couldn't do his spot anymore, and I'd already been filling it in, and he had officially stepped down from the lodge, and Diddy asked you and Wardo, who...
And I was so pissed because I knew Alex was stepping out, and I knew I was going to be replacing 3. I wanted to replace 4, and I wanted him to be the 4, but it was good. And tell everyone, what seat did you start it at?
It was a junior deacon.
Junior deacon.
Yeah.
What seat you started?
Senior deacon.
You started as senior?
No, I'm sorry, senior steward.
Okay, because I knew you did some jumping. I went from Tyler to senior steward to senior deacon, so I hopped around a little bit. Yeah. That's
a jump.
Here's to past Master Paul Diddy for
past
getting
master,
you
for getting you online before some of us grabbed you. So fast forward, you were my senior deacon. Mm-hmm. Loved it. It worked out like it was supposed to. I mean, it absolutely worked out. So then you became master. So when you were master, are there some things that, if there was one thing, what do you wish that you would have accomplished that you didn't get done? Just one thing. You're like, God, there's just one thing I wish I would have, that I wanted to get done and I didn't get done.
Oh boy. I mean, you go into the East, with a long list of things that you'd love to see happen. And by the time you get done in your time in the East, you don't feel like you've accomplished anything. You almost feel like, man, 1 year's not enough.
Said it before, yeah.
My main goal in my year was to be more relatable, to have somebody in the East that I'm not the best speaker.
You're not the most outgoing, but you're a great speaker. You're not the most outgoing.
I'm very introverted.
Very.
Right.
It takes me a long time to think of the right words. That's why I'm better at writing than speaking. If I could go back and accomplish one thing, man, I feel like I would have done more social things, less business, more social. I mean, we'd already done a lot of social things, but
so
you tend to get caught up in the business that has to be done.
Right.
And sometimes you put aside the business.
You didn't do any consent agendas or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as master, is there something that you accomplished that you're very proud of? Your year.
I'm surviving.
There's something to that.
But I don't see this on the questions. What was up with the red Converse?
Yeah, that most worshipful Bob Talbot loves so much. Talk to us about those and why you may have just continued just to push and wear those red Converse.
Yes. Well,
in a tux.
Because I feel like it's important for new members to see that there's not a cookie cutter mold that you have to fit into. You don't need to conform necessarily to an image or a way of conducting yourself. You can still have a little bit of fun.
I like it.
And you don't have to polish them.
And you don't have to polish Chuck Taylors. I've been known to rock some Hey Dudes in a suit too. I like comfortable shoes.
So I can roll with you on the Chucks. The Chucks made sense. The Hey Dudes in a suit, absolutely not. But Russ and I have an inherent disagreement on, I think, a nice fitted suit. Boys, get your suits fitted. Don't wear sloppy suits. But you're not a nice fitted suit and some tennis shoes. But they've got to be leather. So you got you a nice black suit. Rock you some black Air Force Ones with the swoop on the side. Russ hates that look.
Yes.
But damn, it looks good. I feel like I'm an ESPN news anchor every time I wear those.
You also want to act like you're 22.
Yes, that is true. That is true. If let me
act your age, buddy.
That's I get told that a lot. So, Blue Lodge, you went over to the shrine. What kind of involvement did you have in the shrine? You a Scottish Rite guy?
No.
No York Rite, no Scottish Rite?
Never done York Rite, never
Okay, so shrine. So talk to us about the shrine.
So the shrine was, it was good. I was pretty young still. Yeah. And, you join and see all that's going on. You see a lot of people that you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. Everything's kind of new, a different situation, a little more laid back. So I get up there and, I knew a few people. You kind of tend to gravitate towards people you know. But once I joined a unit, and at that time it was a cartoon unit, and everything changed. It really brought me together with some guys that I consider family more than others.
Masonry's weird like that. That's why people think Masons are cults, because we've had friends and family for all of our life or 30 years, but the Masonic bond is just different. It's so unexplainable, right?
Yeah. We spent a lot of times in that cartoon unit in some smelly locker rooms and some hot and smelly costumes.
Yep, we did that a lot. I forgot about that. There's a lot of fun going on.
But no, we had a lot of fun, and that unit was important to me, still is, just because of the interaction that you have with the public, the interaction that you have with the kids and kids at heart, right?
Yeah.
So any other unit goes out there, this could be controversial. Any other unit goes out there, and you can drive a NASCAR down the street, and you'll have some NASCAR fans.
But why?
You'll have some NASCAR fans that go, "Oh, those are cool," right? Or you'll have somebody in a weed whacker drive down the road.
Oh, the little mini combines.
You'll have some.
Those are cool.
That are like, "Oh, those are cool." Yeah. So you've got all these specialized units where you'll have some people that say those are great,
right?
But when you put on the cartoon character costume, and I believe it was maybe
what costume were you?
So I have Cat in the Hat.
You were Cat in the Hat. That's
and
right.
I have.
We brought a bunch of
Donald
new stuff.
Duck.
You have Donald Duck too.
Yeah.
I think I started in Sylvester, and then I went to SpongeBob.
I did Genie for.
Oh, you did Genie?
For a circus performance.
Okay.
It was really bad.
Nice.
But I mean, yeah, it was great. I think it was maybe. We went out to a parade and rode with the divan, and I want to say it was maybe Wayne Wells.
Okay.
And we got done riding with him, and he turned to us and said, "I thought we were popular. Like, people wave and they think the cars are cool. But I thought we were popular until you guys rode with us. Everybody likes cartoons.
So the cartoon unit kind of, I don't want to say died out, but it got slow. And then there was several classes they came in, and we were just bringing everyone in the cartoon. And that unit got live. Mm-hmm. It got live. Yeah.
It was pretty wild for a while.
It was pretty wild, yeah. It was pretty wild.
So you've been district deputy, correct? All right. Talk to us about that.
It's always reluctant.
Seems like the voluntold.
It seems like I get asked to do something, and then I say no, okay.
It's like secretary of a specific lodge.
Yeah.
Yes. That seems crazy.
Yeah, I did district deputy right off the heels of sitting in the East, and it kept me busy, kept me coming around.
Did you take over for Chestnut? Did you take over for me?
No, I took over for you.
Okay.
Chestnut was he took a third year, I believe.
Okay.
Where I started his second year, and then he took a third year, my second year.
Right. Okay.
But, yeah, it was fun.
I like it, yeah.
It was work.
Would you do it again?
No.
Okay. That was fast.
So,
that's funny.
I will work.
No, you do. You do. You've stepped up and done some stuff.
As past masters, we're kind of beholden to our lodge when there's help needed.
Yeah.
To step in and fill a spot when you need it.
You get it, yeah. I could do better.
But
I could do better.
I don't like to work. I wanna have fun. I wanna
fellowship.
I
ran through it, yeah.
I wanna joke with people. I wanna sit in the back and just take it easy.
Right.
So let me take you back to the shrine. So talk to us about your relationship with the Shriners Hospitals for Children, specifically with Angel. Angel's middle, right?
Yeah.
She's middle, right?
She is.
Summer Angel CJ?
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. So talk to us about, most people have no idea, so really pay attention to this part because this wasn't even a factor for you joining.
Yeah.
So this is what's cool.
Yeah.
So, wife and I were married in 2006. We tried for years to have kids, and could not. So we decided to start doing foster care because people had said, well, when you quit trying to have kids, that's when it happens. So we started doing like daycare with kids around. Daycare eventually transitioned into foster care.
Oh, daycare drive me up, so it wouldn't help me.
And then foster care, we got these kids in our home, and the foster care quickly turned into talking about adoption. So Summer came to us when she was 15 months old, and we got a call within a month of her being placed in our home that their mom had another child and that there was something not right with her. They thought it was Down syndrome, but they weren't for sure. So we said, well, again,
no. Yes.
Responsibility is, are you able to do something and are you going to respond in a positive way? Are you going to do it? Are you going to step up and say, sure, we can do it? So they said, yeah, there's something wrong with her. We're not sure. And we said, well, we'll take her for now until we can figure something else out more. And the more we spent time with her, the more you fall in love with her.
Yeah.
You'd have to meet her to understand, but so
did
we
you
brought
have
her
Angel
home.
when we investigated you?
I think we had just
brought
her home.
Was that Donovan?
Yeah, it was Roger, Donovan, and you.
I think. Yeah. We were learning how to investigate at the time. Yeah.
And so, yep.
So fast forward to Summer now.
Yeah, so she had come
to Angel.
She had come into our home, had a lot of problems with her childhood. She was born with an undersized corpus callosum, which is the meshy junk that connects the both halves of your brain so they can talk to each other. She had an undersized side of her brain that wasn't fully developed yet. She had holes in her hearts. She was just at 4 pounds. When we brought her home, she was under 4 pounds. We brought her home. She was doing fine. She wasn't eating a whole lot. About 6 months old, we had to take her to the hospital because she was throwing everything back up. And we get her to the hospital, and they say, well, we're going to put a feeding tube in just so we can try to get food into her. Yeah. And then they were going to do something they call a fundo application, where they take the stomach and they kind of loop it so that things can't pass through the esophagus anymore. That way she couldn't throw the food back up anymore. And during the process of the surgery, they discovered that she has something called tracheomalacia, where her trachea and bronchial tubes are floppy. They're not stiff and rigid like they're supposed to be. So they gave her anesthesia, and then they couldn't intubate her. So then she died for 45 minutes while they did...
Well, I didn't know that part of it. Okay.
Well, they did an emergency tracheotomy. So all this happened and set up to where nobody in Wichita would want to touch her because of these problems. They were afraid that if they did a surgery, something was going to happen again. Mm-hmm. So we had tried a couple of years of going up to Kansas City to Children's Mercy, and they were fine. But again, there were surgeons up there that were worried about certain things. So eventually, we were talking to her doctors about different things and what she had going on. She had some tight heel cords where her Achilles tendons wouldn't let her feet set flat on the ground. She's got congenially dislocated elbows. And so we're like, okay, well, this is some low-hanging fruit. And we'd heard about Shriners Hospitals and how they don't turn people away. And so, yeah, we were just like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. Let's just try it.
And you were a Shriner by then?
Yeah, we were Shriners by then. So, I mean, we thought... And there was a lot of going back and forth on like, okay, well, this is a charity that we support, but like, would we be taking advantage of it if we were also participating in the...
people ask that a lot. It's like...
absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
I think it's just something that we hang up. We get hung up on our own.
I get it.
Nobody's thinking that, but we just kind of
So where's she been most recently, and what was her most recent interaction at the hospital? What did she have done most recently?
So she goes to Chicago now. In 2000, probably around 2015, 16, we noticed that her spine was curving. So, and at that point, the hospital in St. Louis couldn't help her anymore. They don't specialize in that spinal cord stuff. So we got a hold of the hospital in Chicago, and actually got a lot of help from Imperial Sir Jeff Souter to get her fast-tracked up there. But they went ahead and put growing rods in her back to get her straightened up with the scoliosis, and after she eventually got to where she was straight and not growing anymore, they just recently, this past winter, a year ago, put permanent rods in her back. So now she doesn't have scoliosis to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Jeez.
There was a potential hazard of, with the curvature of her spine, it was starting to rotate, and if it had put pressure on her heart, it could have been it. So they really were a lifesaver. She went from a child that where everybody had said that she wasn't going to walk, she wasn't going to have any kind of life or anything, and now she's playing basketball at the school.
Yeah.
Nina just posted a video the other day where she was out playing basketball with a bunch of other kids in her special needs class, and
love it.
And they bust down some kids from Newton to play, and it was great.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
She played t-ball over this.
That's awesome. Yeah, I still think that's one of the greatest philanthropies in the world. It
Absolutely.
really is.
So, do you have aspirations to go on to the Grand Lodge or anywhere within the shrine?
No. No. I mean, no.
That's not a no, boys. That's a weak no.
You spend... When you see how the sausage is made, sometimes you just don't want to eat hot dogs anymore.
You know,
like, does that make sense?
I hate the analogy, but I love it because we've been behind the scenes, and that's exactly why we're not interested in that, because there's too many beaks and there's too many beaks and claws in the hot dogs, and we're not good with that.
I want to have fun. I'm here for the fellowship, and there's too many egos that sometimes get in the way.
All right. So, most important question of the day. Okay? One must go.
Right.
Okay? So, on the screen, I've got 4 past masters. And if one of them were never born... No, I would never do that. I told somebody that we were going to be filming.
Oh, that's easy.
That's easy.
I love you, Doug.
Okay. All right. So, on the screen, Star Wars, which I've never seen any of the Star Wars, by the way. None.
Okay.
Okay. Star Wars. So, you've got Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, Yoda, and Darth Vader. If one had to go forever, like they were never born, created, come out of the ink pen, who would it be and why?
Out of those 4?
Yeah.
That's the rule. That's the law.
Well, you can't have Star Wars without Luke and Vader.
True.
That's the whole point.
See, that rationale is there. So now where are you going to go from there?
So you've got Yoda, who's definitely the pillar of wisdom, right? He's there to pass on.
That I am.
Right. But then you got Chewbacca, who is very much he's the pillar of strength.
He is.
He's there. He's full of courage. He's there. He's not getting anything special out of it. He didn't even get an award at the end of the first movie while everybody else did, and it was all his hard work.
Was he Han Solo's buddy or Luke Skywalker's buddy?
He was Han Solo's buddy.
God's sakes, man, pick one.
It's got to be Chewie.
Chewie's got to go. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yoda brought some, I think Yoda was Princess Leia's dad, which we all know that. With R2D2, everyone knows that. So, but that's all we have. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for watching this episode.